Hello Miss Lavanya and hello everyone. Before we start, let me introduce myself briefly. My name is Lao Chi Singh. I'm from batch 26A and my ID student is TN0122023. So, my focus today will be on provide a comparison for penalties under the new amended law to the previous law, which is the Road Transport Act 1987. Now, let's look at Section 41, which is causing death by reckless or dangerous driving. Under this section, any person who causes the death of another person by driving recklessly or at speed or immediate death on the road is guilty of an offense and shall be punished with imprisonment for a term of not less than 2 years and not more than 10 years. Let's move on to the subsection 3, which is a person convicted under this section shall be disqualified from holding or obtaining a driving license for a period of not less than 3 years from the date of conviction. In the case of a second or subsequent conviction, therefore 10 years from the date of conviction. As you may recall, we are concerned with comparing for penalties under the new amended law, which is Road Transport Amended Act 2020, to those under previous laws, which is Road Transport Act 1987. In summary, in subsection 1 of section 41 of the Principal Act, the words for a term of not less than 2 years and not more than 10 years and to a fine of not less than 5,000 ringgit and not more than 20,000 ringgit are replaced with the words for a term of not less than 5 years and not more than 10 years and a fine of not less than 20,000 ringgit and not more than 50,000 ringgit. In the event of a second or subsequent conviction with a fine not less than 50,000 ringgit and not more than 100,000 ringgit, and a term of imprisonment of not less than 10 years and not more than 15 years. However, the word not less than 3 years from the date of conviction has been replaced in not less than 5 years from the date of conviction, also changed in subsection 3. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Hi guys, at first let me introduce myself. My name is Anggun Nur Suida binti Muhammad Su and my student ID is DEM1221039. Okay, so today I would like to talk about Road Transport Act 1987, an act to make provision for the regulation of motor vehicles and of traffic on roads, and other matters with respect to roads and vehicles thereon, to make provision for the protection of third parties against risks arising out of the use of motor vehicles, to make provision for the coordination and control of means of and facilities for transport, to make provision for the coordination and control of means of and facilities for construction and adaptation of motor vehicles, and to make provision for connected purpose. So, I will explain under section 42. There is reckless and dangerous driving. First, any person who drives a motor vehicle on a route recklessly or at a speed or in a manner which having regard to all the circumstances, including the nature, condition, and size of the route, and the amount of traffic which is or might be expected to be on the route, is dangerous to the public should be guilty of an offense, and shall on conviction be punished with imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years and to a fine of not less than 5,000 ringgit and not more than 15,000 ringgit. And in the case of a second or subsequent conviction, to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 10 years and to a fine of not less than 10,000 ringgit and not more than 20,000 ringgit. Next, the second is the court shall order particulars of any conviction under this section to be endorsed on any driving license held by the person convicted. Third, a person convicted under this section shall be disqualified from holding or obtaining a driving license for a period of not less than 2 years from the date of the conviction and, in the case of a second or subsequent conviction, be disqualified for a period of 10 years from the date of the conviction. And fourth and the last, notwithstanding subsection 1, where a person who is a holder of a provisionary driving license is convicted under this section, the court shall revoke his driving license. And next part is about Road Transport Amendment Act 2020. And I would like to explain or to tell you guys amendment of section 42. So they just amended one subsection. There was subsection 42.3 of the Principal Act is amended by the substituting for the words 2 years, the words 5 years. Okay, that's all my presentation. Thank you.
My name is Carolina Anna Jonathan. My ID number DM0122033. Section 43 Road Transport Act 1987. Points. In Section 43 of the Road Transport Act 1987, refer to any driver who drives recklessly and without consideration for any driver or person who went to cross the road. If an accident occurs and takes the life of another person, the offender will be convicted and given punishment commensurate the act. For example, offender will be sentenced to prison for the period given by the judge on duty as well as fines of 5,000 ringgit, 10,000 ringgit and 15,000 ringgit. If convicted, the driver can be fined a maximum of 2,000 ringgit according to Section 79 Road Transport Act 1987. If road user violate the rules, then the offense will be recorded with up to 4 demerit points towards the offense demerit point system road criminal for every offense according to subsection 41 or subsection 79(2) of the Road Transport Act. Case related to any driver who does not comply with the rules of the Act that have been prepared will be investigated in accordance with Section 43(1) of the Road Transport Act 1987. For drivers who have been convicted repeatedly, their license will be endorsed to preventing that could endanger the lives of others. offender who violate the rules under Section 43(1) of the Act or drive carelessly and without the consideration when driving. If the matter happens many times, then the court will carry out their duties after completing the hearing on the case for the offender by cancelling the driver's license or suspending the offender license for not less than 2 years or 3 years. For the table, Amendment Section 43, Driving Without Care and Without Judgment, 2020 Amendment. For existing, first mistake, fine 40,000 until 10,000 and can be person is 12 months. License disqualification is none. Next mistake, fine 4,000 until 10,000 and can be prisons is 12 months. License disqualification, yes. 4 amendments. First mistake, fine 5,000 until 10,000 and can be prison is 12 months. License disqualification is none. Next mistake, fine 10,000 until 15,000 and can be prison is 12 months. License disqualification is yes. Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Helena Antayang Anak Lincoln, and I'm from batch 26A, and my student ID is DEM 01222013. So I'm gonna talk about section 44, which is driving while under the influence of alcohol or drugs and causing death. Before amendments, the first conviction is prison minimum 3 years or maximum 10 years, and fines is Rm 8,000 until 20,000. Loss of license qualification is minimum 5 years, and then subsequent convictions, prisons minimum 3 years, maximum 10 years, fines Rm 8,000 until 20,000. Loss of license qualification is 10 years. After the amendments, first convictions, prisons minimum 10 years and maximum 15 years. Fines gonna be Rm 50,000 until 100,000. Loss of license qualification gonna be minimum 10 years. Subsequent convictions, prisons gonna be minimum 15 years and maximum 20 years. Fines gonna be Rm 100,000 until 150,000. Loss of license qualification gonna be 20 years. And then driving while under the influence of alcohol or drug and causing injury. Before the amendments, first conviction, prisons gonna be minimum 3 years and maximum 10 years. Fines Rm 8,000 until 20,000. Loss of license qualification gonna be minimum 5 years. Subsequent convictions, prisons minimum 3 years and maximum 10 years. Fines Rm 8,000 until 20,000. Loss of license qualification gonna be 10 years. And after the amendments, first convictions, prisons minimum 7 years and maximum 10 years, fines Rm 30,000 until 50,000, loss of license qualification gonna be minimum 7 years. Subsequent convictions, prisons gonna be minimum 10 years and maximum 15 years. Fines Rm 50,000 until 100,000 and loss of license qualification gonna be 10 years.
A very good morning to Miss Lavanya. My name is Sasmita Priya Anupaman Sivakumar. My ID number DM01222117. Today I'll be presenting about the Amendment Road Transport Act 2020. I'm going to talk about the differences between the section 45A from the previous Act 1987 and now the new Amendment Road Transport Act 2020. The amended Road Transport Act states that if a person's blood content BAC is higher than 50 mg per 100 ml of blood while driving, they will be guilty of breaching Section 45A. According to the Road Transport Act 1987, the penalty was imposed in accordance with Section 45A1, carries a maximum fine of Rm 6,000 and a 12-month jail sentences for first offences. And for the subsequent offences, it's up to Rm 10,000 and 2 years in prison. While in the Amendment Road Transport Act 2020, the first-time offender will receive a sentence of no more than 2 years, a fine of Rm 10,000 to Rm 30,000, and a license suspension of at least 2 years under the revised Section 45A1. This applies to people in charge of a vehicle with an alcohol concentration. Furthermore, the second or third time offender will receive sentences of less than 5 years in prison and fine ranging from Rm 20,000 to Rm 50,000 and license suspension lasting at least 5 years. These are the differences between the Act 1987 and Act 2020, the Road Transport Act. For Section 45A, thank you. Lastly, the conclusion. The Amendment Road Transport Act 2020 will make sure that every driver is protected and has the information and skills necessary to provide their passenger with services that are both safe and responsible. Also, the most recent additions aims is to provide greater benefits to drivers as well as improve road safety, while the prior amendment was targeted at reducing driving dangerously, recklessly, and while impaired by alcohol or drugs, causing death or injury. The new amendment is actually to reduce accidents and injuries to the public, and this is a good decision made by the government for the public. Thank you.